Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we are continuing the series of how to care for your skin in your 20s, 30s, and 40s plus. If you are starting on this video, I highly suggest that you pause it and go ahead and watch the video on how to care for your skin in your 20s. I will link it down below because I'm going to be speaking about things in that video which I won't be discussing in this one, seeing as I've already covered it. But I highly recommend that you watch that first because it is going to be the building blocks to this video, and this video will be building onto the next one. So pretty much you gotta watch all of them. Sorry, I set it up that way. It's just that there's so much information that I can't sit here in one sitting and cover all of it. So it's really nice for you to take your time and just watch each one and build upon. Take out and add things that you want to your discretion, but I highly recommend that you do all of it. So, with that being said, let's get into it. I'm feeling myself, I'm feeling myself, I'm feeling myself. Hey 30s, how you doing? I wish I could have had that attitude when I entered my 30s, but I didn't. I was actually crying. Like, I was just like, oh, it's gonna happen to me. And then 6 months in, I'm just like, all right, I'm feeling myself. I love 30s because we find our confidence. Much needed confidence, as 20s had us like, what's going on? Here we start to feel our confidence, we start to embrace ourselves, and we start feeling like, yeah, I got this. Even though we don't got our shit together still, we're definitely on our way. So if you didn't handle your shit in your 20s, you're definitely gonna have to figure it out in your 30s, which I'm sure half of us are, especially our generation. And if you weren't handling your business with your skin, you're gonna have to definitely be proactive now, because this is kind of like it. This is if you don't start in your 30s, your 40s are gonna come around, your 50s are gonna come around, and you're gonna be doing so much corrective. And like I mentioned in the videos of your 20s, it's all about prevention. We definitely don't wanna get into the corrective area, because once you gotta start dealing with corrective, it's just 10 times harder. Not that it's impossible, it's just 10 times harder. So if you've watched How to Care for Your Skin in your 20s, you know that I really emphasize the use of sunscreen and antioxidants. In your 30s, you're going to want to do the same thing. The only difference is with your antioxidants, you can safely use your vitamin C, but we're going to add a couple in there extra, or some other options for you to really up the ante. In addition to that, I'm going to also recommend that you start using eye cream. This is the time. Now is the time to really start that. And on top of that, you're going to also want to start exfoliation. So let's start with antioxidants. So I'm going to cover antioxidants really briefly because I talked about them a little bit more in depth in the video of How to Care for Your Skin in your 20s. So antioxidants, remember, it preserves the cells, it preserves the skin, and allows the skin to look youthful longer. And that's definitely the mission for most women, if not all. So we talked about vitamin C and what a wonderful antioxidant that is. And it's something that you can use straight through all the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and onwards. It's a fantastic one. But I also want to mention a couple of other ones that are going to be also helpful. If you find them in skincare products, definitely go for them. Vitamin E is really, really awesome. In fact, something I didn't mention in the 20s, if you want to use like an eye cream or an eye oil, I would highly recommend to use vitamin E just around your eyes in your 20s. That's it. Just go ahead and get a pure little bottle of vitamin E. Probably keep it by your bed. So that's something you could just dab on right before you go to sleep. And that is amazing to help preserve and hydrate the eye area. And you can use that in your 30s as well if you want to make your own little eye cream with, different ingredients, including some essential oils, which I actually made a video on how to make a facial oil. I'll also link that video down below if you want to see it. And pretty much how I use my eye oil is very, very similar to my facial oil. I just add vitamin E in it too. Pretty much that's it. I guess I don't need to make another video on it. I know Skinceuticals makes a product called C E Ferulic acid, and it's a little pricey, but who are we kidding? We're no longer spending money at the bars and getting into clubs, so you might as well invest it in your face, right? Let's hope so, honey. Let's hope you are not in that club anymore. At least not in the mid-30s. And definitely not in the late 30s, all right? We're done with that life. Anyways, I digress. So, another antioxidant you can use is green tea is another one that if you find it in products, it'd be really nice. And to be honest with you, there's like tons and tons of them, but you definitely want to invest in quality antioxidants at this point. So even though that might cost a little bit more, do your research and make sure that these ingredients are high quality and they are very potent in the product. How you'll know that is at the back of a bottle, if the ingredients are at the top of the list, so let's say vitamin C or the other names I told you about in your skincare for 20s, sometimes they'll have different names. You want those at the top of the list because how ingredients work is there's a tons and tons and tons of names, but the ones nearest to the top is the highest quantity that's in the bottle. That's a key one, okay? So if someone tells you like, oh yeah, it's vitamin C in it, but it's like one of the last 2-3 names at the bottom, it means that they put just like a hint of it in there. And you really want it to be potent. You want majority of it to be that vitamin C or vitamin E or a blend of it, a mixture in fact, that would be even better. So yes, there's tons of them. I'm not gonna give you a specific name other than that other C and E ferulic acid. I've worked with it myself. I know it's amazing quality. Like I said, it's a little pricey, so shop around if it's not within your budget. And I'm not gonna name a ton of them because our market is saturated with antioxidants, but definitely use that key that I told you about as far as where the ingredients are on the list. Where is it at? And that will definitely help you out. Okay, so 30s is definitely the time to start using eye cream. This is like, it's a must. It has to happen. And the funny thing about it is a lot of people don't because they're like, my eyes are fine. You know what I mean? I myself, I'm 32 and I don't technically need eye cream, but I've been using it since my 20s. And honestly, I don't want to have to do corrective as I've mentioned before because that's kind of like working backwards. So if you are doing the most minimal effort, like a facial or an eye oil, at least it's something to help preserve that area. And you want to focus on eye creams that have antioxidants in it at this point because remember that helps preserve the cells, helps preserve the skin. So that's what you're really looking for. You're looking for antioxidants in your eye creams. Obviously, the area around your eyes might start getting a little dry, so you want to look for things that have hyaluronic acid in it. And definitely creams that have hyaluronic acid a little higher on the list if it's dry skin that you're feeling. And then if you have a little drier on that area, you might want to do an eye oil versus an eye cream. I mean, it's definitely a preference. I only say that eye oils, just like facial oils, it's one of those things that I always recommend to use at night versus the daytime because it may not mix very well with your foundation. If your foundation is oil-based, then go ahead with it. But if your foundation is water-based, which a lot of them are, I would steer against that because it might start breaking up while you're wearing it throughout the day, and you definitely don't want that to happen. So, and I don't want to be responsible for it. So I highly recommend using it in the evening time. If you weren't exfoliating your skin in your 20s, that's okay. A lot of people when they're younger don't really need to. I mean, even if you had like a scrub or something like that, that's great. That's fine. Go right ahead. But in your 30s, this is a habit that you definitely want to get into. It's something that you're going to want to do once or twice a week. And we are beyond scrubs, ladies. We're done with scrubs. I mean, you could throw that in there. You know, I know a lot of products throw this cleanser with a scrub in it, and usually it has like the little fine beads. That is not doing anything for your skin. That is a marketing gimmick. Stop. Right now. It's doing nothing for you. The reason why I'm saying that we should introduce this in our 30s is because after 30s, the cellular turnover in our skin, our metabolism starts slowing down. And therefore, our skin doesn't slough off the dead skin and starts kind of piling on top of each other, adding to congestion. It adds dullness to the skin. It contributes to like the hyperpigmentation. Well, it's one of them that contributes to it. And so we kind of need to help that system along and help that cellular turnover by exfoliating our skin. And that's why it's so important to do so in your 30s. I think this is one of the steps that a lot of women are kind of in the dark about, and they hear it everywhere, but they don't really understand why do we need to exfoliate or what should we be using to exfoliate. And so definitely in our 30s, we want to up the ante. We want to kind of like throw those scrubs to the side. Literally and metaphorically, especially in your 30s, girl, you should be not messing around. Okay, anyways, so this is why it's important to exfoliate the skin, and it's important to use really effective methods in doing so. Okay, ladies, so this is the time that you start using what a lot of us have heard and probably don't know much about, which is alpha hydroxy acid or beta hydroxy acid. So let me break that down for you. Beta hydroxy acid is basically what is like salicylic, is kind of works like that, which is really nice because salicylic acid goes into the pores and clears it out. That's why a lot of people who have acne skin use this form. But alpha hydroxy acid is more of a fruit acid, which is like glycolic, or a lactic acid, which is derived from milk. Both are really amazing. In fact, alpha hydroxy acids are my favorite, unless you have like acne prone skin, which I would gravitate towards that. Unless your skin doesn't respond very well to salicylic acid like me, that's why I gear towards alpha hydroxy acids. Personally, I love glycolic acid. If you have acneic skin, if you have hyperpigmentation, if you have oily skin or combination skin, glycolic acid is going to be your new best friend. I mean, it is like, oh, yes it is. Lactic acid is amazing if you have dry skin or mature skin, and we'll go a little bit more into that when we get into our 40s. The great thing about these exfoliation systems is you're going to find it everywhere. You can find it in cleansers, you can find it in creams, you can find it in eye creams, you can find it pretty much anywhere. But at this stage of the game, I would definitely suggest that you use it as your main exfoliation. So you could do that, like I said, once or twice a week, and you can get it in a mask form, which I personally love because there's no scrubbing and rubbing. Sometimes when you scrub the skin, if you have any capillaries, which are those red little veins around your nose, they break. And as you age, your skin starts getting thinner. So I start moving away from things that prevent tugging and rubbing on the skin, and that's why I really love these forms of exfoliation, because you kind of just put it on your skin and then it just kind of takes the job for you. Another really great exfoliation is fruit acids, such as pumpkin is a really great exfoliation. I actually do a pumpkin exfoliation once a week just because I really like it. You can also find exfoliations in your creams, and you can use it as like a nighttime treatment. I know that a lot of products have like a glycolic cream. In fact, I think L'Oreal came out with one. I'm not sure exactly how much glycolic there is in it. And this is where it starts getting tricky, ladies and men who are watching. On the ingredients list, if glycolic is low, really, really low, you're not getting a lot out of it. In fact, over the counter, I believe that they don't really let you get above, I think, a 12% in glycolic. Above that, you start moving into more of a clinical area, which is done in probably a spa or a dermatologist's office. But you probably want to get the higher the better. And how that works is when you're using lactic or glycolic acid, you want to introduce it to the skin slowly. So it's not something that you want to do every day. If it's a weekly thing, great, you can start that way. If you are using a cream with lactic or glycolic acid in it, or salicylic acid, that's something that you're going to want to introduce probably like once every 3 days or once every 2 days, and then eventually you can, as the skin acclimates, you can use it every night. But this is going to be transformative to the skin. If you have sun damage from what happened in your 20s, this is going to be amazing to help lighten up those areas that have hyperpigmentation or the sunspots or areas that are dark. A lot of women in their pregnancy, this area, or a lot of women who have olive skin or colored skin have it a lot around here. I know that was a really big struggle for me, and I was like, not happening. So I got my glycolic acid, and also the product that I mentioned in my videos of taking care of your skin in your 20s is a really awesome product from Antilu. I have it in that video if you want to check it out. That's what I've been using and I love it, even though I probably should be up in the ante, but I'm like, maybe in my mid-30s. Not there yet. So, and that's another thing you want to be mindful of as you age. You know, what you may want to use in the beginning of your 30s and mid-30s may not be the case. Once you start moving to your later 30s, we can start probably introducing more products that I'll mention about in the 40s, or starting to have, probably you'll use like once a week, you'll use an alpha hydroxy or beta hydroxy acid, and then on top of that use a night cream. You know, that's not going to necessarily harm the skin, especially if you have skin that is normal, combination, or oily. They have tougher skin. Drier and sensitive skin, that's the one that you're going to want to use as sparingly, but definitely introduce it into your regimen. Something I really wanted to quickly mention: if you go to the store and you are shopping for alpha hydroxy acids and beta hydroxy acids, know that 9 times out of 10 you're not going to see them written out that way. What they're going to be labeled as HAs and BHAs. So that's kind of like the short name for it. Also, BHA is going to be one of the rare ones that you see written out even as a beta hydroxy acid, because it's under the umbrella of salicylic acid. So, and just to let you know, these ingredients are in cleansers, they're in moisturizers, they're in toners, they're in masks, they're everywhere. And I'm not saying that you need to use a whole regimen of it. If you have pretty normal skin, I would do it as a mask, you know, once a week. If you have a little bit more problem skin, and you know, like hyperpigmentation or acne, maybe you can get some glycolic or lactic acid or whatever you're looking for according to your skin. You'll want to use that in perhaps like a nighttime treatment or in your nighttime moisturizer, of course, with sunscreen in the day. So this is the type of, you know, regimen that you're going to want to start introducing slowly. By the time you're in your late 30s, this is something that you want to have regularly in your nighttime treatments and once or twice a week, having that exfoliating system, because the skin is just not going to be progressing or moving along and sloughing out that dead skin cells, as we mentioned before, as easily. And we definitely want to have youthful, glowing skin. So yeah. On to the next one. Okay, something that I did not mention in the videos of how to care for your skin in your 20s is the steps on how you use these products, okay? Kind of like your skincare regimen. So just like your 20s, your 30s are gonna work in the sense that you're going to want to use your cleanser morning and night. You're going to want to moisturize morning and night as well. And in the daytime, you're going to want to use your sunscreen. This is in your 20s and in your 30s, ladies. Let's not forget it. And if you want more information as to why we're going to use sunscreen every single day, whether you're at the pool or not, definitely make sure that you're watching that video on how to care for your skin in your 20s. Now we're introducing, you know, antioxidants into the skin. We introduced it a little bit in your 20s, but this is like where it has to happen. It's like, has to happen, okay? And you definitely want to use it in the morning in conjunction with your sunscreen, because antioxidants and sunscreen work together like best friends. They help preserve, and the sunscreen is like that, you know, while this antioxidants is preserving, that sunscreen is just blocking any intruders from coming and messing up the party. I don't even know why I said that, but anyways. So that was that. Antioxidants can also be used at night if it's part of your serum. And if you are exfoliating, that's something that you probably want to do at night to help your skin heal and recover, because your skin is doing so while you're sleeping. And if you are using, let's say, a glycolic or a lactic acid, you'll want to just cleanse the skin and put that, if it's part of your moisturizing system, you want to just leave that as your last step and then just go to bed. If you are using alpha hydroxy and beta hydroxy acids, it is imperative that you use sunscreen. If you do not use sunscreen while you are using such ingredients or such skincare, you're going to actually do the reverse on your skin and cause more damage when you're out in the sun. This is why it has to happen, because what it's going to be doing is it's going to be evening your skin tone. It's going to be removing that dead skin. and the sunscreen is going to block anything from doing any damage to the skin, because the skin starts to get, I wouldn't say sensitive, but since that's a newer layer of skin, it makes it more susceptible to damage from the sun. So yes, if you're using it, use sunscreen. Trust me, it needs to happen. Well, that pretty much wraps up how to care for your skin in your 30s. Thank you for joining me. And remember, I still have how to care for your skin in your 40s coming out. Be sure to watch all of them so that you can get a really great idea on how, a really complete idea on how to care for your skin throughout the ages. And yeah, go ahead and subscribe and share and like and comment below. And I'll see you next time. Bye guys.